Hi, I'm Jim Clark, President and CEO of Boys and Girls Clubs of America. I'm excited to invite you to a very special event, the Boys and Girls Club of North Mississippi's annual Dance Like the Stars Gala. It's a great time and a great event, and I can speak from experience. Several years ago, I was one of the participants, so I know you're going to enjoy this. It's happening on Saturday, July 19th at 6:30 p.m. at the Cadence Bank Arena. Visit www.bgcnms.org to get your tickets, and we'll see you at Dance Like the Stars.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Welcome to Mississippi Live Weather at 10. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynard. I hope everyone has had a fantastic night, enjoyed the somewhat drier conditions, and are grateful for these somewhat drier conditions moving forward. And we're saying somewhat because it is July and those afternoon thunderstorms are still possible. But will we see more rain? Our odds are pointing to yes, but just how much rain we'll see, we'll break that down here in just a couple of moments. Weather watchers were in action today. We'll take a look at some of their pictures, some of your pictures out in the field of just what you saw as those isolated storms rolled on through. And we do have an upgrade in our tropical forecast, and that's going to possibly produce more rainfall as we head further into our work week. So how all that plays out, we'll track all throughout our broadcast tonight at 10. Let's first take a look tonight in Batesville. Just a calm forecast across the region, 79 degrees right now, and the measure of moisture not overly high, so this feels like value is not going to be too high either. Just what happens with nightfall. I do want to point out that there are not many clouds in the sky either, so that moisture just not as prominent as in our forecast as what we have seen here recently. Tupelo coming in with 81 degrees as well, and similar to Batesville, just those calm conditions in place with lots of clear skies. I want to pull up satellite imagery first, and this is over the past 4 hours. Just watch how all of that cloud cover and all of the rain chances with it have since dissipated. And this is some of our visible satellite that we see right now. Those storms that were moving across Lowndes, Monroe, and Lamar County have since fizzled on out, and even those back there towards Cleveland, Shelby, and Clarksdale, just see how that's dissipated to practically nothing. So that calm forecast definitely playing out here in North Mississippi, and we see that right here on our Mississippi Live Weather Radar. Those storms not even making it past 8:30 p.m. And what we're seeing right now is just calm conditions move in place. And whenever we see this sign on our radar, this is what we call clear air mode. So whenever that happens, it means the radar beam has been lowered to extend across a further distance, and that ends up picking up some trees, some buildings, things of that nature. So a great sign when we see this. Clear air mode is always something we want to hear because it means that it's a dry forecast. We don't have anything to look at on radar and no storms to track whatsoever. Looking at our where the storms are happening, there's still a lot of activity back towards Oklahoma, a few of those producing some flash flood warnings as well. And over here in the Atlantic coast, you can see just how much action is taking place there in Virginia, Maryland, and up there towards New York. Just the moisture that's been lingering around for several days continues to stick around that same region. Flash flood warning still in place. And of course, we know it down there towards Florida. There's your next tropical development that will break up here in just a couple of moments. Let's still focus on here in North Mississippi, and what we'll see over the first 12 is some foggy conditions that move in place overnight with that little bit of moisture that's still in place. Those places that got showers, more than likely that moisture is still sustained on the ground. So when that sunshine comes up, burns up that moisture, that's where we'll see some possible patchy fog. Not overly dense fog, but still patchy in nature. By the time that sun comes up, drying all that up and takes away all that moisture, and we're seeing plenty of sunshine for our Tuesday. A great forecast ahead. You have plenty to look forward to for your Tuesday. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at surface analysis, and we're going to break down what exactly is happening. So first, expanding things out, I want to show you the interaction that we're having between our two pressure systems, a form of high pressure and a form of low pressure. That low pressure, pay a lot of attention to because that's going to be driving our forecast going forward. But when we have high pressure, we have this clockwise motion like we've been talking about earlier. And so I'm going to draw these arrows to give you a visual on how that atmosphere is interacting. So whenever we get high pressure, and it's on the west side or just to the south of Mississippi, you can see a lot of that moisture being driven in from the Gulf into eastern Texas, eastern Oklahoma, and that's why we're getting a lot of that isolated activity there. Well, whenever it's to the south of us, we're not getting that moisture because the Gulf is on the west side of it. We're going to get more of this continental air. So whenever we get continental air, it's a much, give me a second to draw this out, but a much drier forecast. And that drier air is moving into North Mississippi, and that's why we're not getting as much thunderstorm activity. Well, then you pair that with this low pressure center out there towards the Atlantic. Now that's going to be your Invest 93L, the possibility of developing it into a tropical system later on this week. But this has the opposite motion. So we're going to draw that out for you right here, having this counterclockwise motion around that L. And whenever we have that, you basically have this valley. Yes, mountain and valley, that's what we're going to use. But this valley of drier air being pushed right towards the center of the low and high pressure. So a very dominant, drier forecast moving across North Mississippi right now as we head further into that forecast. Now, when these are positioned how they are, that's where the dry forecast is in place. And the reason why we're seeing so many storms produced in Futurecast models yesterday for today, for this afternoon, was because this high remained a little bit out there towards the east. So a lot of that Gulf moisture was kicking into North Mississippi. Didn't happen. That was a great sign because it meant drier conditions moving in place. But that is going to drive our Invest 93L heading into the future, and just how it drives it will be very dependent on what we see here in North Mississippi. So I'm going to drag this back towards North Mississippi, and you can see over the next 12 to 24 hours, not going to be overly significant with any rain chances. A lot of that moisture remaining out there towards Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas towards the early hours of our Tuesday. So waking up, heading out the door, dry conditions still in place and plenty of clear skies because of how dry that air is. Towards 9, 10 o'clock, still remaining dry, and a lot of that moisture towards Florida, Texas, still happening closer to noontime. Maybe a bit of that high cirrus clouds way high up in the atmosphere. That's going to be the only sign of moisture that we'll see, with a few isolated showers possible, but not overly populated here in North Mississippi. Again, the bulk of the moisture remaining out in those sections we just mentioned a moment ago. So that forecast, not too bad for the future, and we're definitely going to soak in every second of that sunshine that we can. Towards your afternoon forecast, though, that's where those chances really start to build. So we're going to watch those mid to late afternoon chances for the possibility of more showers developing, and we'll look more at North Mississippi in particular, and we'll really look into the end of the week, whenever the tropical development is possible. Just what does that mean for our forecast? We'll track all of that coming up in the next 60 seconds, so make sure to keep it here at Mississippi Live Weather. For the very latest, we'll see you right back here coming up in 60 seconds.
You need some help?
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire. I could show you how to secure them properly if you'd like.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynard.
Welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather. I hope you have enjoyed your evening. Like I mentioned before, it's a much drier pattern than what we've been experiencing. And again, we're soaking up every second we can get. But what we're also soaking up is just your Weather Watcher pictures. Great pictures from around the area. James in Columbus taking a picture of one of those isolated showers that just popped up and dissipated just as quickly. This is in its dissipation phase, which basically is the end of the life cycle for the thunderstorm. You can see some of those wispy clouds up there high in the sky. Basically, at this point, it's being dominated by downdraft, so you don't have that convection happening at the surface or that air coming together and rising. When that happens, you get more of this jagged edge along that the tops of the clouds. So jagged means mature. Whenever you get this wispy, soft cloud, that's really your dissipation phase and the end of the rainfall. So it's going to be wrapping up. So great picture, James in Columbus, just submitting that picture, and a big thank you to submitting that to us here at Mississippi Live Weather. Now, Lila in Tillatoba, this is also post-storm. Whenever the rainbows start to show up, the interaction with the sunshine and the moisture that's in the air, and if that wasn't enough to tell you what's going on, how about the ground? Still saturated with a lot of that rainfall. So heavy rainfall, brief heavy rainfall, but still rainfall nonetheless. across the region for just a few select locations. Matt in Pontotoc submitting us this picture of a full rainbow. You can see it encompassing the entire sky, the interaction of the sunshine and the moisture. Great shot there. I mean, this should be on not a Christmas card, but a greeting card? I don't know. But any card, because that green grass shining with the colors of the rainbow, just a great interaction there. So thank you to Matt and Pontotoc submitting us with that picture, just letting us see what's happening on the ground. Your Weather Watcher pictures are key to help us understand that forecast a little bit more of what's happening outside, because all we're getting is what's happening on radar, of course. So Mississippi Live Weather Radar, these are a look at rainfall totals that we experienced this evening, and not too significant. Again, it was very brief, heavy rainfall, about a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch down there in Noxubee and Lowndes County. Same thing over in Lafayette, over to Pontotoc. That was where that rainbow happened right there. And over in Pontotoc, it was trace amounts of rainfall. So it showed how very little happened, but enough to produce a rainbow. And then this was our heaviest batch of showers and thunderstorms over there towards Greenville, Cleveland, and Shelby. 3/4 of an inch all the way to 1½ inches. So that brief rainfall did pack a punch in some locations, but still a dry forecast for, 85 to 90% of us here in North Mississippi. So a lot of us not complaining, but others that had to bring out the umbrella for just a second aren't complaining either. Now we're just seeing those dry conditions in place. Not anything to note for cloud cover, not anything to note for rainfall. We're just experiencing that much calmer pattern moving forward. Taking that day planner through our Tuesday, starting out dry once again, but as we move towards the afternoon, these are not overly significant rain chances, 20 to 30% with a few thunderstorms embedded within that. But our main forecast tomorrow is going to come with those high temperatures, coming in around 94 degrees. Because it's so dry, it allows that heat to build up a little bit more, that sunshine to shine through. So that's what we're going to be experiencing, is that July heat in full effect towards our Tuesday afternoon. So Tuesday overnight, I know it's showing a few isolated showers, but with how dry and the atmospheric makeup, I don't really have any chances of rainfall overnight. Towards tomorrow morning, though, we might see a brief isolated shower, but overall still keeping those dry conditions. Low temperatures, low to mid-70s across the region, right around average for what we'd expect this time of year. I do want to say that the moisture that is showing up on our futurecast for the morning on our Tuesday, probably going to be some patchy fog, just because of that moisture that's in the air or whatever's still left on the ground, interacting with that sunshine and causing some radiation fog as a result. As we head further into our Tuesday, you see all those showers and storms out there towards Arkansas. Now, those do try to move into North Mississippi, but as they extend across the Tennessee state line, you can see how they just weaken more and more, not seeing overly powerful storms that move into Olive Branch or Holly Springs. And that line moving in that northeast direction really keeps it well north of a lot of us here in North Mississippi. So fortunately, staying on the drier side, like I mentioned, but more isolated showers are still possible further south of that line, especially whenever that boundary sets up. How that boundary latches on to some of these storms will definitely be interesting, but still, for a large portion of North Mississippi, staying on the drier side. We carry that over into the mid-afternoon, and those isolated storms are still sticking around, but not overly, the coverage is not too much for us here in North Mississippi, just a few pockets of moisture that are going to interact and bring a few sprinkles, heavy rainfall, as well as a few rumbles of thunder not going to be ruled out either. It's just not going to be as widespread, and that's why that confidence has lowered just a bit for how much rainfall we'll see. High temperatures tomorrow, still mid to upper 90s, and some areas coming in with like 96. That's a hot temperature, and even warmer than what we had this afternoon. 96 in Greenville, 94 Kosciuszko, and 96 Columbus and Vernon. It's just going to be a toasty afternoon tomorrow, with heat indices also trickling well into the triple digits. Right on the cusp of heat advisory. I know we've been saying that, but the heat advisory, whether they're issued or not, they just need to be taken the necessary precautions for it. Hydration, staying cool, air conditioner, everything you need to do to beat the heat here in Mississippi. Tuesday night, still staying on the drier side, and a lot of that moisture that we see in Arkansas, because of the atmospheric makeup and that high pressure not pushing that Gulf moisture in here, just remains fizzling out right along that Mississippi River, because it is directly south of Mississippi right here. We head further into our Wednesday morning, and you might see a few of these isolated showers popping up. Just pay attention to that through the day, because that's really where our main chances stay, is along the Alabama state line and south of Highway 82, because of that low pressure center out in the Gulf. We'll walk through that here in just a moment, but that's really going to drive our rain chances for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, is how far that low gets inland and how much moisture it brings in from the Gulf. And still remaining possible into our Wednesday night, because this is an abnormal summer pattern, because we don't have a low pressure center every day driving our forecast. So because that's there, overnight showers are still going to be possible Wednesday night into Thursday morning. High temperatures, oh man, they're going to be hot. 97 Vernon, 96 Columbus, Starkville, Eupora, Grenada, riding that Highway 82 corridor, and 98 over and around Greenville. We are right on the cusp of some triple digits in some parts. So if this continues to trend how it is, we're talking about 100 degrees for maybe a few isolated locations, especially further down south towards the Gulf. But it's just going to be a hot day, a hot week ahead, and we need to be paying attention. But this is the latest tropical development that even changed from what we were talking about at 6 p.m. today here at Mississippi Live Weather. 40% chance of development over the next 7 days for that low pressure center out in the Atlantic that will move into the Gulf. This is a look at the trajectory that this is going to try and go on. And how long it remains in the Gulf will be dependent on what it develops into. So that 40% could easily get higher or lower depending on how far or how long it sits in the Gulf. Over the next 2 days, 30%, which is still a low chance, but that is different from what we saw even 4 hours ago, where it was at a 0% chance over the next 2 days. So that does show that the National Hurricane Center is having some confidence growing with this development, and we'll see that right here. Surface analysis still has it in the Atlantic, circulating in a lot of that moisture there towards Florida, South Carolina, and Georgia. But as that high pressure starts to shift just a bit more towards the west, and this low pressure builds more into the Gulf, that's going to make the moisture return to our forecast. Let's go ahead and walk through that. Tuesday at 8 p.m., this crosses Florida and will weaken just a bit because it's battling that shear on land. But once it reaches into the Gulf, this is a hot environment with very little shear, a perfect circumstance to really be a microwave for this system. So as it pushes more into the Gulf, it'll reach the Gulf closer to Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and there it'll sit. We're talking about moving 5-10 miles an hour max. So by 6 a.m. on Wednesday, it's just remaining just south of Alabama and south of Florida. And watch how little it moves. 6 to 12, we're talking about a very little range that it has covered. 12 to 3, still basically sitting in the same exact spot. So this will just continue to eat up that warm water and grow and grow and grow before it starts to push more in that northwest direction into Mississippi and Alabama. Yes, Mississippi and Alabama. I said that correctly because as you see that direction right there, starting that trend just a bit more, and it's going to push more inland as we head further into our Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Now, we're not talking about major hurricane. This is at most probably going to be a tropical depression, but still could develop into our next named storm. Caleb, I forget the name of the next one. Dexter. So it could become Dexter by the end of this week as it continues to remain out in the Gulf. But that's remained to be seen. And if this chooses to take more of a path that takes it through Panama City and the Gulf Shores or something of that nature, not going to develop into anything significant. And honestly, we hope it doesn't develop into anything significant. But if it chooses to move more in that southwest into northwest direction, that's where we'll get it moving into North Mississippi a bit more and bringing us more rain chances heading into Thursday, Friday, even towards Saturday. So paying attention to that system, that's really going to drive our forecast for our weekend ahead. So that's why rain chances are a little bit heightened, especially with the latest development on that tropical system. But for the next couple of days, as that system and the high pressure interact, we're staying mostly dry the next couple of days, or at least as much dry as you can be here in July in Mississippi. So it's very active pattern, but it's going to be dependent on a lot of things. And so you need to stay tuned here at Mississippi Live Weather 5, 6, and 10 tomorrow night. And we'll walk you through the latest on that tropical development, how high our confidence is on that, and what these percentages change to because they are subject to change going forward depending on what that tropical system chooses to do. This is where it sits right now with what we're suspecting that path to be, but we know that tropical systems sometimes have a mind of their own and like to take their own path. But we'll walk you through that in more detail coming up tomorrow night, so make sure to keep it here for the very latest. Download our app on iOS today, iOS and Android. Head to the local app store, download it. You'll receive the latest alerts. And of course, those rain chances coming at you in full force whenever you need it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at 10, and we'll see you back here tomorrow evening. And speaking of that weather app, it's going to be on these QR codes on your screen right here, iOS and Android. Bring out your phones, put it on the camera app, and point that camera on these QR codes. Take you directly to the App Store to download it today. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I cannot wait to keep you guys posted as we head through the rest of this week, and we'll walk you through these rain chances together. Trust me, we're here in Mississippi. We battle the weather together. So thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow night.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt LaPon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt LaPon has proven himself trustworthy.